So if there's a social media app and it's available for an iPhone, an Android phone, or for an iPad, I do not have it anymore on my devices. I hope you guys are doing well. This one is going to be about social media and some of the things I've done over the last kind of few weeks to try and better my life. And I hope this video will give you some insight into why I've done that, and as well kind of make you have a little bit of a think about what you're doing perhaps with your devices and things you can maybe do to improve your time and your life ultimately. So why have I done this? Well, during the first sort of forced house arrest situation that we found ourselves in at the first quarter of this year, I noticed that I was on my phone a lot. Like, you know, I've got an iPhone and it tells me the kind of like screen time. I'm sure there is an equivalent on the Android phones as well. And I thought, wow, this is getting ridiculous. Like, this is a lot of time I'm spending on this device. And I started looking at kind of what I was doing on the device. And it's like, this is just a waste of time. While it was kind of nice to check in here and there and see what people were up to, we are social creatures after all, which is the genius of this stuff, right? It's like the whole concept of social media is genius because it feeds into our kind of basic human instincts and our basic human needs and wants, which is to connect with other people. But this kind of hasn't really been around that long. And we're going to get into that. Yeah, I personally found I was finding myself on my phone far too long, and I had a little bit of a sort of a technical exodus, if you like, during the first house arrest situation. I felt much better for it, and I kind of forgot like what was going on with that, and before I knew it, I was back to my old habits. So yeah, I've removed it all from my phone. That doesn't mean that I don't use it. You can see here in my Brave browser, I have all my kind of like commercial and kind of alternative social media platforms that I'm currently exploring in the tabs here, you know, so clearly I do use them, but they can only now be used while I'm on a computer. Now, as always for you guys, I try to find an article which breaks down the things I want to talk about in as kind of like you know, in as easy a way possible, I suppose, for me to try and talk through and explain the data. So I found this website from Broadband Search. For anyone who's going to be asking where they get this data from, it would seem that the majority of it is going to be coming from the Bureau of Labour and Statistics, and they seem to be based in the States. So I would imagine that a lot of this data is going to be based around the US, but they have broken down some time by continent, covering kind of, I suppose, the majority of the Western, of the developed world, if you like, where we'll be having more and more of this social media. It must be said, this what I would say about this, if you have watched The Social Dilemma, which is a documentary by a chap called Tristan Harris. My sister told me to watch this, and while it didn't really tell me much new, it also did introduce me to this the concept of what's happening in the developing world. You know, I know I've just said that, you know, oh, it's mainly the developed world because that's where we tend to have the internet more and we tend to have these concepts. If you watch this, you'll start to see what's happening in the developing worlds, and that's quite scary when it comes to government control and Facebook and what they're doing with Facebook. So I would recommend, if you haven't seen this documentary, it's only about an hour and a half long, it's on Netflix, it's called The Social Dilemma, and I like that it gives you this analogy of you as like a voodoo doll, and these AIs kind of like pricking and stabbing you to see what sticks, if you like, what keeps you on the network, what keeps you kind of like engaged in their platform, because that's what this is all about. It's all about attention. These platforms want the most attention out of you, and they don't care what they show you. They want to keep you on the platform for as long as possible to keep your attention. Then they can show you adverts and make money, and that's the model. If you do watch the Social Dilemma documentary and you enjoy it and you want to find out more, I would recommend, unfortunately, having to now go on Spotify, a platform I despise. But nevertheless, that's where Joe Rogan is, and I think his podcast is very, very worthwhile. I would watch podcast number 1558 with Tristan Harris, the chap behind The Social Dilemma, because they deep dive very much into these kind of concepts I'm talking about with much more depth, I suppose, than the documentary itself. I mean, there's a 3-hour long format chat there over an hour and a half documentary that covers lots of different areas, so I jump into that and watch that. I found that very much useful. So Daily time spent on social networking, and this is the thing that we need to be careful of. This is the thing that the world's been very strange lately, because we've all kind of like just steamed into this new way of living, and we haven't thought that this has been under a decade. Like, our lives have moved into these ways of working and this kind of like revolution, if you like, in terms of the internet, and it's not been that long. I mean, I joined Twitter here in 2012. I think I had Facebook in around 2000, would have been 2007. So Facebook I was kind of on first, and obviously before that we had for the older gits like me, we had MSN Messenger, ICQ, and MSN Profiles, which is where I met my first girlfriend. That was a cool place for that. Let's say that. But these things are around, chat rooms and all that sort of stuff. But really, I think 2012, when people started adopting Twitter, it was also 2012, 2013 when the smartphone really became smart. You know, I think my first phone was a Sony Xperia phone, and it was on Android, and I believe I probably got that in about 2011, to be honest. I started uni, that's for sure, but it was around that time. You know, then I quickly moved on to the iPhone 4S after that, and I've been iPhone since. So if we look at this chart, daily time spent on social networking. So we started off in 2012, around 90 minutes a day. I'd agree with that. I think I was on Facebook quite a lot on my lunch break at work. Or people were using Reddit. Reddit's been around for quite a while. Things like that. So people were doing their socials at work, and maybe we do it a little bit in the evening, but not really. I don't recall it really being a thing until perhaps around here. I reckon between 2015 and 2016, I reckon it started going mental in terms of the mobile phones and the way the mobile phones changed as well. A lot quicker and a lot more notifications, and things were getting a little bit sort of spicy here. Up to 2019, when they reckon that we were spending on average 153 minutes a day on social media. Now, what's it going to be in 2020, guys? I mean, I reckon it's going to be triple that. You know, based on me myself during the first house arrest. I'm calling it house arrest because I completely disagree with it, by the way. But as you might have gathered. But there we go. This is going to be rocketing in 2020. And people have become way more addicted to their phones and way more addicted to social media. You know, and is there a correlation, I suppose, between the sort of polarization in our world and social media use? Tristan Harris, coming back to the social dilemma, would put some points forward for that. But the thing I like with him as well is, as me as well, I'm not negative about social media. I think it's got some great benefits, but I think you've got to be careful what you do with it. You got to decide how you're using your time. And let's continue reading. This terrified the hell out of me, because it's trying to say basically that if 72 is the average global lifespan, and really in the West it's higher than that. 6 years, 8 months on social media in their lifetime, based on the projections for social media use in 2020. I actually think it's going to be more. I really think this figures are going to be right up there when this data comes out at the end of the year. And if we break that down to what that really means, you're going to spend 26 and a half, 26 years, 5 months sleeping. This is worrying enough that you're then going to apparently spend 8 years, 4 months watching TV, especially if you're watching mainstream media. That is not good. What's the one before? Then we're going to be spending 6 years, 8 months using social media, like almost double the time you're going to spend eating and drinking. And socialising is right the way down here. It's like, hello? You're basically going to spend almost the same amount of time doing housework as you are socialising. So this is a problem, because if this didn't exist, this social media one here, how much more actual socialising would we be doing? Because if we're human beings and we like, contact and talking to people, and we've been given this sort of social media, which is kind of social, but it's sort of not really a conversation. Like in a conversation, you can make a statement, and then the other person could say, I'm not sure, have you thought about that? And you go, yeah, I have, but have you thought about that? And they go, yeah, but what about this? And then you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Then they go, oh yeah, and I hadn't thought about that, and you kind of work things out together. Whereas on Facebook, it gives you the option to kind of get annoyed and put something up, and then someone comes and tries to sort of counter it, and you're instantly just like, back the fuck right away from me, bro. That can be a thing, you know. I've had that myself. It's like, you know, just disappear from, you know, just not all the time, but there's been times, especially if it's something you're very passionate about, if it's something that's really bothering you and really getting to you, and someone comes and sort of wants to sort of have a little bit of a jab, you know, you end up in a sort of quite spicy conversation, which wouldn't have happened if you were in this category and you were sitting having a conversation as opposed to using social media. So it's worrying the sort of the place we currently are in the world when we look at basically, you know, outside of sleeping. And it would have been interesting if they put working in here as well. But I gather if you're kind of going to be asleep 8 hours a day, you're probably going to be working around about the same, if not slightly more than that. So I suppose they didn't put it in because it's sort of an easy one to work out. But this is bad, you know, using social media and watching TV to potentially, you know, the amount of sort of pathological, you know, mental issues that are going to come from these two, and they're the two bigger things on this chart outside your life, is very worrying to me. You know, do you really want to spend 1 year, 2 months of your life on Snapchat? You know, 1 year, 7 months of your life on Facebook? This one I'm particularly got an issue with because I think you come to YouTube for lots of different reasons, and I've learned a hell of a lot on YouTube. Sorry, I'm banging my mic now. I've learned a hell of a lot on YouTube, so you could see that as almost like life lessons. Or YouTube's weird. It's still social media, but it's kind of, it sits in a different. It's different to I mean, the comments section probably bloody isn't, but the actual content you watch, it gives you that there's the option to kind of jump around and watch different things and learn different things. So, you know, it's just concerned me. You know, it's like the reason why Gen Z is a sort of quitting or considering quitting social media is like 41% said they were wasting time, 35% said there's sort of like too much negativity, you know, and then you've got kind of wanted more privacy, you know, too much pressure for attention, too commercialized, and 17% said it actually made them feel bad about themselves. So this isn't good, right? But I think the problem is, and I do think this, I think the problem is the amount of time. This is too much time. You know, it's the time we're spending on these platforms that's the issue. You know, if we could reverse this round so that you were socializing, but for you know, for really, I'd rather halve that number, if not 1/3 of that should be true. You know, this one should go right the way down. You know, and really the socializing should be right up, in my opinion. And I think if that was the case, your social media wouldn't be as much of an issue, you know, and that's kind of how Facebook used to be. You know, like you'd have a night out, wasn't always a good thing, but you'd have a night out, and then you'd sort of go on Facebook to see all the photos that other people have posted from the night out, and you comment and you'd have a laugh, and it was almost like it was still linked to real time. It was still linked to actual people who knew each other and situations that had actually happened outside of Facebook. And you had far less rows going on there and whatever else when it was under that paradigm. So yeah, I chose to kind of take it off my phone so that I have to go to a browser. I use the Brave browser as a way of, if I go to a new tab, it would tell me that it's blocked 25,323 trackers and ads during the time I've used Brave. It also gives you sort of crypto rewards, and if you watch my other videos on cryptocurrency, you can embed your crypto wallets and stuff like that. It's a cool browser. You know, there's a fella on YouTube called Rob Braxman Tech. He'll talk you through privacy and another reason you might want to remove social media from your phone. That's definitely played into it as well from a Facebook standpoint. I don't want Facebook collecting kind of too much data, so I'm trying to make it a little bit harder for them to sort of monitor my life. But yeah, I still use social media. I just literally come to the to the browser as opposed to using it on my phone. I'm still active on there. I had a chat with my friend Devinder. We had a good Aurora cast yesterday. You know, I'm still jumping in and out of here to have a conversation with people. I'm still liking comments. You know, I'm still going on my Instagram account. You know, I can still like things, whatever else. Still trying to find a way of using Instagram while I'm not on my phone. I haven't yet found a way of using a browser. I believe you can use Buffer. Buffer's a good app for kind of you can basically connect all your social media accounts, and then you can share something to, like, you know, your Facebook and your Twitter at the same time, which is good for business, and it gives you an opportunity as well to kind of, like, if you want to put an update out but you don't necessarily want to get sucked into to being on Facebook for another sort of like 20-30 minutes to an hour, or, you know, however long we're saying that we're going to be spending, you know, 1 year and 7 months of our lives, whatever. Buffer's a cool thing to be able to schedule posts like that. You can even schedule posts in Buffer as well. So I think it's kind of I think it's an interesting conversation. You know, am I anti-social media? No, I think it's got a place. You know, I think it could be hugely beneficial to people. People can start entire businesses. You know, whatever else. You know, you can meet your partner on there. Even though I don't recommend that, I try and go out and meet them beforehand. But is there a problem with the amount of time that we're spending on these platforms? I think so. You know, I think this is ridiculous. And if we're going to be spending, if these lockdowns are going to continue, which I think they are, this socialising is going to be on the deck. It's going to just not exist, and your entire life is going to be based around these sort of like new ways of communicating. And let's look at it. I mean, the fact they started this in 2012, I find interesting. For most of us, it probably was around 2007. That's when at least I got my Facebook account. 2007, 2008. So it's not been a long time, guys. There's not enough data from a psychological well, it's not just psychological, it's, you know, it's a social cultural issue. There's not that much data yet available on what it means for people to be exposed to the entire world like that all at once from a social standpoint. We're seeing the polarization, which I think is partly to do with social media. I do think that there are other you know, pressure groups and lobby groups that are actively trying to cause problems out there. But we can't ignore this. To me, this is an issue. So don't delete your Facebook, don't delete your Twitter. I've done that. You always end back up on them. I deleted Facebook twice and I regret it because I've lost contacts, and you know, and people start thinking you deleted them as well. You know, and you try and add them again and they're like, well, why, you deleted me? And it's like, no, I deleted everyone. You know, don't take it personally, you know. I don't see the point in deleting these platforms. I think you should just limit the time that you're using them. Try and break down what it really is about. You know, would you rather phone someone, or would you rather sort of like listen to a podcast about a particular issue, or, you know, pick up the phone, go on Skype, talk to that person, or, you know, in the ideal world, go and socialise with them, meet up, and you know, try and do the things which they're telling us we apparently can't do ever again by the looks of it. So anyway, guys, I didn't want to ramble too much on there. If you are enjoying the content, please do subscribe to this channel, share the video and hit the like. At the moment, about 80% of the people coming to this channel aren't subscribed, and it really does help me out to grow the channel. I'm looking to kind of like keep doing this content, and I've got some ideas for next year which are quite sort of out there. I think people would enjoy. So yeah, please guys, do smash the like button, as they say. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell and all that stuff. Comment, say hello to me. Another thing I'd say, this at the bottom here, this kind of like my Twitter handle. Yes, I'm still using Twitter. Honestly, you're probably better off emailing me, or jumping over to my website, and just go into the contact page, and just dropping me a message through there. To be honest, these days you probably hear back from me quicker than you would if I was on social. And while you're over there, do hit donate as well, guys, and there are various ways you can support my work. Alright gang, look after yourselves. There is going to be another Aurora cast coming out tomorrow, but I probably will be kind of closing down till the new year in terms of these videos, so I wish you a happy Christmas and a happy new year. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care gang, bye bye.